guys, welcome to the Silver Report. It's Saturday, February 11th, 2017. Gold is currently trading at $1,233.90, up 0.42%. Silver is currently trading at $18.03, up 1.85%. And let's get right into some of the factors that will be playing a part in the price of precious metals. And we saw a major change happen in the world. Beginning in 2010, central banks around the world, they turned from being net sellers of gold to net buyers of gold. The 2008 crisis, followed by the shaking of the currencies, the increase of debt among sovereign nations. It was a world economic collapse. And so what was the response that we saw from the central banks? Not only were they printing money, but also they began amassing golds. Last year, they collectively added 483 tons, the second largest annual total since the end of the gold standard. With Russia and China accounting for most of the activity, the second half of 2015 saw the most robust purchases on record, according to the World Gold Council. Now we see that the net sales previous to the collapse of their system, for example, in 2003, they were negative 600 tons. They sold 600 tons. In 2005, it was just a little bit more than that number. And now they've gone, beginning in 2010, where they are acquiring as much gold as possible. Not every top bank is a net buyer. The Bank of Canada, for example, has liquidated close to all of its gold, mainly in coin sales, while Venezuela is in the process of doing the same to pay off its debts. And that's what we were speaking about when Venezuela brought their gold home. And these central bankers don't like that. They don't like sovereign nations. But most of the world's central banks right now are accumulating, holding, or repatriating the precious metal. As of this month, they reportedly owned 32,754 tons. That's about 17.8% of the total amount of gold ever mined, according to the World Gold Council. Now, it's worth noting, this global gold buying spree, it coincides perfectly with the rise of this money system, these monetary policies that are not conventional. Following the financial crisis, there was these massive bond buying programs by the Federal Reserve and other central banks around the world where they're buying up toxic assets that are worthless. Rapid money printing schemes, massive devaluation of the currency, and more than that, a shaking in the confidence in their currency. As we saw that several nations throughout the world have now ceased trading in the United States dollar. So there has been some lack of confidence. These sovereign nations holding Federal Reserve notes, rapidly devaluing all of the wealth of their country. And of course, near zero, some cases, negative interest rates. Someone had mentioned in the comments, they can't raise interest rates, and that's very true. Prior to this crisis, it was only a concept to have 0% interest rates or negative interest rates. It wasn't even something that people would have thought was a reality. Just to illustrate just how bad the state of the world economy is right now. And they're in the paper, they're announcing, this is a success. But it appears their actions are not really meeting what their words are. It appears these banks that are out there making announcements saying they're reaching their economic goals, but still we see things slip through the cracks of their fears that their system is falling apart, and it appears these banks are hedging against their own policies. They are hedging themselves against the coming inflation. Investors would be wise to do the same. confidence in central banks' ability to stop this economic deterioration, it's deflating because it's not a reality. So the top 10 countries by gold reserves begins with number 10, India. They have 557.7 tons of gold. The percentage of foreign reserves is 6.3% of world reserves. It's no surprise that the Bank of India has one of the largest stores of gold in the world. The southern Asian country, it's home to 1.25 billion people. It's the number one or number two largest consumer of precious metal, depending on who you ask. It's one of the most reliable drivers of global demand. India's festival and wedding season, which runs from October to December, has historically seen a huge boom to gold's love trade. We have number 9, the Netherlands, 612.5 tons. Percentage of foreign reserves, 61.2%. And so the Dutch central bank, it's currently seeking a suitable place to store its gold while it's renovating its vaults. As many others, they point out this seems odd, given that the bank fairly recently repatriated a large amount of its gold from the U.S. Japan, number 8, 765.2 tons. Percentage of foreign reserves, 2.4%. Japan, the world's third largest economy, is also the 8th largest hoarder of yellow metal. Its central bank has been one of the most aggressive practitioners of quantitative easing. In January, it lowered interest rates below zero, which it helped fuel the demand in gold around the world. Japan's crisis is astronomical. Their debt crisis and their money devaluing. So their own government and central bank understands that this is a policy that does not work. Fiat money systems fail 100% of the time. So they are in a rush right now to amass as much gold as possible because their system of wealth will no longer have any substance. Number 7, Switzerland, 1,040 tons. Percentage of foreign reserves, 6.7%. In 7th place is Switzerland. It actually has the world's largest gold reserves of gold per capita. During World War II, the neutral country became the center of the gold trade in all Europe, making transactions with both the Allies and the Axis powers. Today, much of its gold trading is done with Hong Kong and China. Just last quarter, the Swiss National Bank posted a 5.9 billion profit, largely a result of its sizable gold holdings. Number 6 is Russia. 1,460.4 tons. Percentage of foreign reserves, 15%. Russia has been steadily rebuilding its gold reserves in the last several years. In 2015, it was a top buyer. It added a record 206 tons in the effort to diversify away from the US dollar, and its relationship with the West has grown chilly since the annexation of the Crimean Peninsula. So they have been amassing gold in preparation of this war on the dollar, as all these countries have. We see China also is number 5, 1,797.5 tons. Percentage of foreign reserves, 2.2%. In the summer of 2015, the People's Bank of China began sharing its gold purchasing activity on a monthly basis for the first time since 2009. In December, the renminbi joined the dollar, euro, yen, and pound as one of the International Monetary Fund's reserve currencies. An expected move, it required the Asian country to beef up its gold holdings. The precious metal represents only 2.2% of its foreign reserves, so it's probably safe to expect more heavy buying going forward. In April, China, the world's largest gold producer, introduced a new renminbi-denominated gold fix in its quest for greater pricing power. So they want more control over the price of gold because they seek to increase its value, seeing they have been working to increase their holdings. 4, France, 2,435.7 tons. Percentage of foreign reserves, 62.9%. France's central bank has sold little of its gold over the past several years, and there are calls to halt it altogether. Marine Le Pen, president of the country's far-right National Front Party, has led the change, not only to put a freezing on selling of the nation's gold, but also to repatriate the entire amount of foreign vaults, to bring all that is in foreign reserves back into France. Italy, 2,451.8 tons. Percentage of foreign reserves, 68%. Italy has likely maintained the size of its reserves over the year, and its support from European Central Bank President Mario Draghi, the former Bank of Italy governor. When asked by a reporter in 2013 what role gold plays in the central bank's portfolio, they answered, "The metal is a reserve of safety. It gives fairly good protection against fluctuations against the dollar." So it is kept in the result of currency collapse. 2. Germany, 3,381 tons. Percentage of foreign reserves, 68.9%. Like the Netherlands, Germany is in the process of repatriating gold from foreign storage locations, trying to collect back its gold. And what we're going to see as a result of this is a shock to the system, because most of this gold is oversold. Some of it, says, is in New York, Paris. Last year, the country's Bundesbank transferred 210 tons, and it plans to have the full 3,381 tons in the country by 2020. And number one, the United States of America, 8,133.5 tons. Percentage of foreign reserves, 74.9%. With the largest holding in the world, the U.S. lays claim to nearly as much gold as the next three countries combined. It also has one of the highest gold allocations as a percentage of its foreign reserves, second only to Tajikistan, where the metal accounts for more than 88%. Donald Trump made headlines recently. He claims, "We do not have the gold," but from what we know, the majority of U.S. gold is held at Fort Knox in Kentucky, with the remainder held in the Philadelphia Mint, Denver Mint, San Francisco Assay Office, and the West Point Bullion Depository. And that's what we're talking about, is the elite are preparing. They understand that this fiat monetary system cannot continue. Ever since the crisis, and they knew since they had to implement the policy of massive money printing and devaluation of the dollar, the world's reserve currency, we now have these other currencies entering in, and we see that moving forward, precious metals will play a major part in what is really value in this world. We know that these are failed monetary policies. The world central banks understand these are failed monetary policies. And what we are to take by the fact that they have switched over since the crisis from a policy of selling gold to now buying gold, to now hedging their own collapse. What are we to do? And so we take this information and understand what is happening in our world, what is happening in finance around the world. And there are major moves by these countries to adopt a system that is not collapsing. There's no way to solve this system. There's no way to heal this system. It's on life support. And the impacts of its collapse will be devastating unless you are prepared. So buy food, buy storable food, set aside water purification tablets, a life straw. They're cheap, they can filter many gallons of water if you're near fresh water or streams. Precious metals, silver and gold, things that like the central bank elite are doing to preserve and hedge against currency collapse. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. As always, if you like the content, be sure to subscribe. There'll be more videos just like this. Like the videos, share the videos, get the word out. Let me know what you think. Leave me a comment in the comment box if there's anything you like. And I thank you guys so much. And as always, stay safe.